So after this whole lengthy Hakdama, in a sense, introduction, all to explain Hadasah and Esther, namely Pnimius HaNeshama and Chitzonius HaNeshama, or Ponim and Acher, first addressing these two dimensions in the Likus in general, and then the Neshama, the levels in the divine that the Neshama is rooted in the final conclusion. So then he begins to explain this as it applies to the Neshama in detail, the two levels of the Neshama reflected in the two names of Yaakov and Yisrael. So Yaakov, of course, is Yud Ekev, the Neshama in the heel, in the leg, the bottom, lower level of the Neshama. As the Neshama descends into the Guf, as he says, it's not the whole Neshama, cannot be contained by the Guf. The world can't even contain a Malach. Much more so that a body cannot contain a Neshama. What is invested in the Neshama is Nefesh Ruach Neshama. That Chai Yechida remain transcendent. And that's the level of Yisrael, Li Rosh, the levels of Chai Yechida. And certainly, as we're speaking here, not only Yechida, but the Nitzitz Beide Cotton, Madrig of Atik HaKloli, or Atik de Bria, Atik of Ak, so that remains outside, as it were, outside consciousness, outside experience, not mislabish, present, as you said the other day, present, but not mislabish. Because that was the whole point, that Vanochi asked as Panai, my Panai is present, but concealed. So that's a Neshama is present, but not mislabish, fused with their consciousness, with the body, with the mind and heart. Now to explain this in Avodah. Be it in Yondam shall shtei madrigas. Yeah, page 128 is the second paragraph of Eis. Hey, sorry, Eis Vav. But first, be it in Yondam shall shtei madrigas and nabavedas Adam. To explain all this in Avodah, which is the Tachlis, right? The story we're learning about, as we'll see, the Beisel and the Pilo. So in the Klolas Avodah, so Avodah is expressed where, in general, there's the details of Avodah, but in general, it is v'haftas avalekecha b'chol levavcha b'chol nafshecha b'chol ma'itcha. So this is the general Avodah, which is why we say it. We're commanded to say it twice a day, and there's no specifics here, of specific instructions, but the whole context of Avodah. V'nechlakul beis sugim. So the loves are divided in two categories. Number one, that's one category, with all your heart and all your soul. This also appears in the second parsha, except in the plural. That's one category. That which the first parsha adds, and that is b'chol ma'itcha. So the first level of Ava with all your heart and all your soul. Again, this is going to match the two levels of the Neshama, the Rosh and the Regel, Yisrael and Yaakov. So the first Ava, is born in this B'Prinasa Insof. So it's born in this about Eibishter's infinite revelation, as he's invested in creation. This is not the Panim Delamayla, P'chinas Achrei Havayla Kechem Telech, what you should follow after God your Lord. So the Achrei is hinting to his bonus in by Havaya, where the Eibishter is drawn and invested in creation. elaboration upon this is bonus. So the person is misboine, and that the whole world and all of its pratim, and the world is a very impressive place. It's what gets our attention. So what is the world? The likus is the chaya. Godliness is the life also of the world, and all that we see is what the vishin yonim hagashmim, the material dimension of reality. Even though it seems alive, it's the model for this point that he's saying is what comes to mind immediately. Looks like it's alive, but it's death and avodah zarah. The golden calf, the Egel Azov, which is the primary prototype avodah. It's not just they worshipped a golden calf. It's the whole imagery of what? Of a davar gashmi, materialism. And the reason it's a calf is because it's brute. It's the ox, the shor, is nature in its most brute form, most powerful form. And it's animated and comes to life. But the emphasis is it's moves, it's death, it's nothing. And to worship it, therefore, is avodah zarah. To give gashmius per se, reality, even if we acknowledge there's a God, and there's also me, also this, that's avodah zarah. So even though, again, the words of the Maimon, it appears to be life, alive, it's true mitzias of Gashmius per se, if it's not elevated and suffused with the likus per se, it's the opposite of life and good. And that which there is within them, that which is not the opposite of life, that which is not death, is rak mitzad dvar havaya. What gives it its life? That is not the death component. Interesting way he says it. Is only the dvar havaya. It's like what he's saying is, the fact is, like we just said, that they're dead, so why don't they behave like they're dead? And Emes is not just dead, just disappear, because they don't have a mitzias. So what is this? What causes, it's not an illusion, what causes the golden calf to be animated? This was the Shemesh HaKadoshim. Rak mitzad dvar havaya. And nefesh van neshama shemachayosam. So there's a divine force which enlivens them. But that's its truth. That's the truth of the life that we see to the world. Now, interestingly enough, he's not talking about mahava here. He's not even talking about its being coming into existence. I don't know if this is a diuk or not, because there's two dimensions to the existence of all things. A, it exists, and B, the level and rank and type of life that exists, from the inanimate to sophisticated life forms. That's already chayis. But the fact that it is, that's his havus, its very being, something from nothing. Here the emphasis is not so much the being, but the animation. He doesn't mention his havus. Tzarech in a little bit to understand why. Money, for example, inanimate objects, there's no overt chayas, it's just his havus. Other than this, there is a chayas there. There is a life force, a unique tailored life force to inanimate objects. It's not just created out of nothing, but there's an investure in it. So all things have a chayas. What impresses us is, of course, the highest dimension, its properties. Not that there's a bunch of atoms in front of us, but the unique properties and behavior of it. That's Mistama ways emphasizing the chayas. That's what we see and relate to, is the manifested form of whatever it is that is impressing us. So he's mizbeinen. What's the yid mizbeinen? He's mizbeinen that this whole life, this animation, this life, what is it? It's a likus. So you like this? It is likable and desirable, but don't like the death component of it. If it, per se, that's death. That's nothing. What you're seeing, what's attracting me, be'emes, is the chayes eliki. That's what's attracting me. Like the famous teaching of the Baal Shem Tov in the pasuk in Baruch Nafshin Tilim, Kapitel Kuf Aleph. Re'evim gam tzmeim, they are hungry, they're thirsty. Nafsham and tisataf, their soul fainteth or longeth for food and drink. So the Baal Shem Tov explains the diak is their soul is longing, the body is longing. And the answer is you're longing, but yourself, you're longing for the nitzatziliki, which is mechaya, the davar gashmi. That's what we're really after. That's what drives. The pnimius of what drives our desire for more. Gashmius is really a corrupted expression of our neshama's desire for the likus, the godliness in the world. That's true life. So this is the isboninus that the person meditates when he says, "Ve'ahavta savay likecha b'chol levavcha v'chol nafshecha." So he comes to love you, comes to love God your Lord, as this pasuk says. He's quoting a pasuk. Shehu chayecha nitzavim, pashas nitzavim. Shehu chayecha, because he is your life. You love life. No, they're saying Jews love life. I don't think we find this expression true of any other people. They say it about the Jews. Jews love life. It's reflected in all the halachas, except for 3 cardinal sins, right? Chayecha koidmin, yes, before another person, and a person's to transgress, because we love life. But what is it really be'emes that the Jew is loving? What's the value of life? This is b'chol levav v'chol nafshecha. It's avay likecha. Shazel, concluding, so this is the bonus in godliness that enlivens the world. Both himself, the small world, the microcosm of the world, which is a person, as the Medrash says. Medrash, we've encountered this Medrash. Everything that exists in the world exists in the person. The Medrash explains the eyes, the sun, etc. Every part of the body, forests and flora and fauna and animal and inanimate and stars and stardust, earth. It's all reflected in the person because he's the tachlis of the whole universe. So both in the Elam Cottons out in the small universe, which is a person, Elam Godel, and the big world, not just the big universe, the whole chain of spiritual worlds. It's all part of what? Of the likus that's invested in creation. This is the true chayes of all existence. Through such a lengthy and on this meditation, a love with all your heart, and all your heart means that your heart is filled, the person is filled with love. Sha'av mamameles is called kechoisav. The love of Hashem fills all of his conscious faculties. His mind and heart is filled because he sees the beauty, he sees it before his eyes, he sees life, and he sees the beauty of life. He understands that all of this beauty is a reflection of elikus, and in detail, whatever he's being mizbeinen in the sunset, life in general, it's all reflective of different midas of the Eibusha. There's tenderness in nature, and there's fury in nature, there's chesed in nature, there's profound intelligence in nature, all of the various components of the divine intelligence and divine emotions invested in nature, producing these qualities. It's beautiful and fills the heart. So this is all of the Avodah of what that's the starting point. Then there's a higher Avodah. Kashem is boinden when a Yid is misboinden. Shachayis elikisha machaya oisev is called, say that ishtalshalus, as gewaltig as it is, this divine life force that's fused and invested in him, and all of ishtalshalus producing this incredible life. Eina ela ha'orabam, it's merely a reflection, it's a tremendous symptom of the Eibishter's revelation. Misha Kosov, as we say, as we're going to say, in davening from Tilim, it's only Hoydai, only his rays. Hoydai means rays. Al Eretz Shamayim is what invested, which is what is invested in the world, and Shamayim, the lower worlds and the higher worlds. This is all the chitzonius of the coast. This is all the madreg of Ocher. Then he comes to a greater sense of wonder. Flaw is wonder. It's hard to translate Pella, but wonder is one of the words there. Also means astonishment. This is the level of b'chol nafshecha, which is higher than b'chol levav. This is still all within, and get the b'chol beitcha yet. Called zeh, why? Eina el, because he's still being misbein in what? In godliness invested in creation. So b'chol levavcha is how beautiful it is. B'chol nafshecha is, and yet all of this beauty is the merest glimmer of godliness. And that's b'chol nafshecha. That's what b'chol nafshecha induces mesiras nefesh. At the pshat level, b'chol nafshecha means even afilu noitles nafshecha, even if he takes or they take your life, he's ready to give it up. So the motivation, inspiration for that is he's giving up his physical life. That's not difficult, as it were. What's physical life? It's only a ha'or. This whole physical life is merely a glimmer of alikus. He renounces it. Mesiras nefesh iskafia comes from the level of b'chol nafshecha. B'chol levavcha doesn't induce iskafia. It's the beauty. It fills the heart. B'chol nafshecha is the avodah v'iskafia, going beyond self. And what fuels that is someone is. I'm just going to mute you guys. Morty, you're tuning in from Yisrael. Rabbi Mordechai. Good night, Shabbos. So we're connecting to you, to the Avidah that Yisrael, to the atmosphere of Yisrael. So we're saying that the b'chol nafshecha is these bonus, that all of this is a ha'or, and again, this is the inspiration for the disdain, or the so much the disdain, but for the bittul and not being expelled from the world at all. And diskafia, the inspiration to not indulge, and even mesiras nefesh, albert mesiras nefesh. As he goes to this, if a cholze in Eli's bon and is buried in Sofshem Mislabish, he puts mahava. Interestingly enough, so it's not a mogadik of mine. It's enough for making Right. So he is a mizbein in something which is invested. Mahave brings into being a machaya. It goes into all the pratim here. Machaya, enliven, umakayim, and sustain. It's 3 dargas. Without going into now, what does makayim add over machaya? Chaya, enliven, finished. Makayim, sustain. Well, that's the result. If there's this harvest and there's chayas, then there's kiyum. Just in general, it refers to the laws of nature that are fixed, that to our observable eye are predictable. But that's only because he's constantly being makayim the laws. So this is all these bonanis and say the ishtal shalus. So the first is bonanis is the bechol vavcha. Is his mizbein that the life, the beautiful life, the beautiful world is all elikus. That's his pnimius. This is all achrei havaya, the lower level, and that includes 2 pratim. The first is bonus is this is your life that you're feeling is godliness that you're seeing in all of its beauty. It's all elikus. A highest bonus. This one fills you, and the second is bonus. Is the opposite. Is his Moishe nefesh, is his skafia. And they are critical stages. Iskafia can only really be effective after a healthy bechol avavcha, not a skafia in a vacuum. That's draining. So then he's born in a sayos and nihilus, and that breaks you. But a healthy skafia doesn't break you; it ennobles the person, and that's because it comes together with bechol avavcha, the appreciation of the beauty of the world and of life that is elikus, the food, the breath of life, the central experience. This is elikus. But then there's the avodah v'iskafia, this bonus, that this is a ha'orah. So then he comes to the high avodah she'ein zeh el ha'orah ba'alm, but it's only ha'orah ba'alm. This is all achana, friends, to the 3rd level, b'chol ma'itcha, which touches the pnimius of elikus. We continue Be'ezrat Hashem on Monday. Now we'll conclude our story